Hey guys, how are you? Welcome into a Wednesday morning edition of the Daily Juice podcast with me, Matt Perrault, at Sports Talk Matt on Twitter, to follow me at BettingPros, to follow BettingPros, where you'll find the Daily Juice podcast, always being brought to you by BetMGM. $10 offer to win $150 is above me on the YouTube video. Promo code JUICE150. That works in New York, by the way. BetMGM, BetMGM.com, or on the BetMGM application for that promo code JUICE150. $10 bet wins $150. All right, so a 2-0 night last night. We get on the hook going our way. OU +3. Number closed at +4. Some money came in on Kansas. Oklahoma doesn't win the game, but they keep it close enough like we thought. Must-win game for OU. Lose by 3, cover 3.5. And then Wisconsin had a good run late in that game. Big money on it was Joe Public. Everybody was on Wisconsin. Wisconsin wins and covers. Not a shock. I told you last night it was going to be a public play. But hey, we'll take it. 2-0, half a unit. We're going to come back here today with a couple of more bets, a couple of more half a unit college basketball plays, and then 2 more bets I am eyeballing in college basketball that I want to get into, but the numbers aren't out exactly yet. So we got to wait and see on that. And then 1 NBA play that I'm also considering as well that I'll give you. But 2 plays I'm going to give you right now in college basketball for the overnight bets I have already made. Let's start talking about Alabama and LSU. Alabama right now is reeling. Crimson Tide have lost 3 games in a row, 3 games against the spread. They are 1-4 against the spread over their last 5. They are 2-8 against the number over their last 10. 7-3 LSU. They did not cover in their last game. They lost in their last game. They were red hot. They are 10-1 at home against the spread, but this game is in Tuscaloosa. The number at FanDuel last night was 3, and I told you on the Discord channel, grab the -3. Here is why. And this number, I think, is just going to climb here. I think the public might bite it back down, so you may get some LSU public money here. Alabama has lost 3 games in a row. They lost to Missouri on the road as 14-point favorites. They lost by 6. Against Auburn at home, we were on Auburn in that game. They lost by 4. And then they went on the road to Mississippi State, 1.5-point dogs, and they lose the game by 2 points. They do not cover. I like the SEC a lot this year. As I mentioned, LSU red hot, but they lost by 7 at 6.5-point home favorites against Arkansas. The only game so far this year they have not covered. They lost the game outright to Arkansas, but they beat Florida on the road by 6 as 3-point dogs. They won by 12 over Tennessee at home as 2.5-point favorites. They beat Kentucky by 5 as 2-point favorites. But what's interesting about this matchup, Auburn got to the rim at will, and Auburn was able to use their size and their athleticism to really pester and really make it a problem on the interior for Alabama. Look, any Bama game is going to come down to whether or not the Crimson Tide will hit threes, but this game, I don't want to call it the season, but much like while we were on Oklahoma saying like they had to win that game. They didn't, but they were close enough. Alabama's got to win this game, man. They are absolutely reeling right now. Things are going in the wrong direction for Neil's team in a big, big way. And the Crimson Tide just have to come back out here at home and ride the home crowd. It's a big basketball rivalry. These 2 programs really don't like each other. 2 schools don't like each other. Fan bases don't like each other. Alabama is really kind of a strange team right now because, their 3-point percentage, they're 246th in 3-point percentage. Like, what is that for the Crimson Tide? Just 31.8% making threes. But in terms of made threes, because they jack so many made threes a game, they hit 9.4 threes a game. That's 30th in the country. They also take 29 threes a game. That's 7th in the country. For LSU, they give up 26 3-point attempts. That's 333rd, in case you're counting. That's last in college basketball. They're good with opposing shooting percentage, first in the country, 35%. They play defense, but they give up threes. 122 made threes a game. They protect the rim. Against Alabama, they don't care if you protect the rim. It's a bad matchup. I think the Crimson Tide gets hot, and the Crimson Tide shoots threes. And I just think this team for LSU is not going to do the things that really burn Alabama defensively because they're small on the interior. These teams match up fairly well with each other. I'll take the Crimson Tide to snap the losing streak here. I'll lay the 3 points. Alabama -3 for a half a unit up against LSU at home tonight in Tuscaloosa. Second game. Have you guys been watching our bet on the Valley at all? Remember, we've got Loyola Chicago to win the Missouri Valley, right? Got good value on that bet. Northern Iowa is charging, and I mean charging, up the Missouri Valley Conference rankings, standings. So they're at Valpo tonight. Northern Iowa at Valparaiso. These two teams played back on the 5th of January, and Northern Iowa won the game by 27 points. 4 consecutive losses for Valparaiso. 5 straight wins for UNI, but they didn't cover the last 2 wins. They were laying 12.5 home against Indiana State. They won by 6. They're on the road at Southern Illinois, laying 1.5. They won by 1. Okay. Not that horrible, but over the last 10, they're 5-5 against the number. On the road, UNI is 4-4 against the spread for Ben Jacobson's team. Valparaiso is 2-6 at home against the number. They're 1-4 over their last 5, 4-5 over the last 10, or 4-5-1 over the last 10, and 79 overall against the spread this season. I got one team streaking and one team going the other way. Look, this is a very similar line to, like, you look at this game and you're like, why isn't Northern Iowa more heavily favored in this game? Much like, why wasn't Wisconsin more heavily favored last night? I'm not going to overthink this. I got a team that just beat this team by 27 points. They've won 5 games in a row. They're needing to keep pace with Loyola Chicago, who did win last night. So to keep pace, just 1 game behind in the standings, Northern Iowa can't take their foot off their gas. They got to get going here, and they got to play strong. They can't afford to have any slip ups, or can't afford to overlook anybody, even though they just beat them. 4-4 on the road straight up for Northern Iowa this season. Valparaiso is 5-5 at home straight up this season, but 5-1 against the conference so far for Northern Iowa. 1-5 against the conference for Valparaiso. It's 4.5. I'm going to lay it. Northern Iowa -4.5 against Valparaiso here for a half a unit. All right. So those are the 2 bets that have been booked. Let's talk about 2 bets that have not been booked yet. Okay. Let's talk about Iowa and Rutgers. First half total. We don't have these out yet. This won't be out till the morning. We tape overnight. But watch this number. Okay. Northern Iowa is 13-3-1 to the over in the first half. Rutgers this season is 10-5 to the over this year. Okay. Or 10-6. Sorry. 10-6 to the over. So we've got a team in Rutgers hitting 62.5% of the time to the first half over, taking on Iowa 13-3-1, 81.3% to the first half over. The number is going to be inflated. There's no debating that. The books know this as much as anybody else. But let's watch that number here for Iowa and Rutgers and try to figure out exactly what that total is going to look like and how much it moves. It's 151 right now. So if you cut it in half, okay, we're talking, 76, somewhere in that range. I mean, that's not right. Am I doing the math correctly on the fly there on that? Yeah, 75, 150, right? So I probably 50, 76, probably somewhere in that range. Hopefully we don't get like a 77 or a 78. Hopefully it's still kind of in that range for us. But if I get that, I like over Rutgers and Iowa first half over for this game that's going to take place tonight. And then I'm also going to come back and look at the St. John's versus Creighton game. St. John's is 10-5 to the over first half overs. The Jays used to be like an automatic. They used to, it was just like 100% we bet the over in the first half for the Creighton Blue Jays. They've been off for a while. They just had a game against Georgetown where they scored 88 points. The Jays scored 88 points against Georgetown, 78 points against Connecticut, 73 points against Providence, 89 points against DePaul. They've been I mean, sorry, that's St. John. Sorry, excuse me. That's St. John stats. St. John scored 88 points against Georgetown, 78 against Connecticut, 73 against Providence, 89 against DePaul. They've been scoring points a lot, 10-5 to the first half over. For the Creighton Blue Jays, they've not been great on this stat, okay? But when they play teams at home that play fast, I just wonder if St. John's is going to speed up the Creighton Blue Jays here tonight, and we potentially might see the Jays hit more threes than what they have been hitting. And that's going to be a major question mark for this game because the Creighton Blue Jays, unfortunately, just have not been hitting threes like they normally do. We've talked about it before. Normally averaging 9.5 threes a game. They're averaging 6.5 threes, made threes a game. That is very un-Creighton basketball-like, and it's kind of stunning, to be quite honest, just given where the Jays have been this season. In the way that Greg McDermott normally likes to play. He wants his guys flying around. He wants his guys getting floor burns. He wants his guys shooting tons of threes. And that just hasn't happened for whatever reason. It hasn't been the case. So it's kind of like, wait, what is going on here? But I'm very curious to see how this team goes. The total is 149.5 right now. So maybe we get like a 73.5. Maybe we get it shaded down because the Jays don't play that fast. I think St. John's 10-5 record. I think there's a decent shot we get the Creighton Blue Jays to kind of get with us here and help us out and score some points. And maybe we get ourselves into a situation where, the Jays can hit more threes. They've been scoring a little bit. They only scored 41 versus Nova, which is bad, but they're at home against Xavier. They scored 73 points on the road against Xavier. Marquette, 75 points against Nova. They scored 79 at home. Against Arizona State, they scored 58. BYU, they scored 83. So there has been certain games where they've scored more, given their opponent. I think St. John's will score with them and push tempo. First half over, I'm eyeballing that. So I've not bet Iowa first half over or Creighton first half over yet, but I'm going to watch those numbers and watch when it comes out in the morning. We tape overnight to see where we are. So I could be in on one or both of those, depending on where the number is. The Iowa-Rutgers game, hopefully it's not totally like 78-79. Okay, hopefully the books don't screw us, but let's see where the number is for Iowa and Rutgers in the first half for that game. And then we'll see where Creighton and St. John's is going to be as well. So the two plays we've made so far, Alabama -3 at home against LSU, half a unit. Northern Iowa on the road at Valparaiso, laying the 4.5 with Northern Iowa at Valparaiso, also for a half a unit. Okay, so two plays in, could have four, maybe some other ones. I'm also kind of looking at where we are in the NBA, just a little bit in the NBA, where we do have Memphis potentially catching 5-6 points at Milwaukee. We'll see how high that number goes, 6.5, maybe 7. That number gets over 7.5. I may come back in here on Memphis, and I know they're on the road. This year on the road, though, Memphis is 15-5. 15-5, Memphis. So let's see how high this number climbs. How much do the public come in here on Milwaukee? How high of a number we could get? 7, 7.5. We get over 7. I really like Memphis to keep that game relatively close. Milwaukee's 8-14 at home, by the way, against the spread this season. 15-5 for Memphis on the road, and they could be catching 7 or more points here. So those three plays I'm eyeballing in the Discord channel. You guys know about it. BettingPros.com/chat. The link underneath me on YouTube to get in. I'll tell you what plays I'm making. 2 plays officially. Bama -3, Northern Iowa -4.5. And we may come back in here with first half overs and Memphis at Milwaukee. Maybe I'll play all 5. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. We'll see where the numbers are coming up in the morning. Definitely be on the Discord channel, and I will get that to you for sure. It may be earlier in the day than normal, maybe right after my show, because tomorrow's my first day of school at UNLV. So spring semester starts tomorrow. So my class starts at 2:30. I may be able to get you right afterwards because it ends at 3:45, which is 6:45 Eastern. But sometimes first days go late. People want to stop and ask questions and stay late. So maybe I'll get out of there a little bit too late and I'll miss tip for 7 o'clock. So that might be something to eyeball. Although it is an 8 o'clock Eastern time tip for Memphis and Milwaukee. So good news on that. My name is Matt Perrault. Follow me on Twitter at SportsTalkMatt. Each and every morning, it's the Daily Juice podcast, always being brought to you by BetMGM.